Hello friends. Welcome to a new video on my channel. In this video, we'll explore essential considerations for interior parquet flooring and delve into the use of the Corona MultiMap in the Corona Render engine, as well as the Vray MultiSubTex in the VRay Render engine. Alright, let me show you the elements within the scene. The table and chair's interior lights. Where you can observe their color temperature based on Kelvin and their intensity exterior light. This large environmental light is used to illuminate the outdoor area, and the arch line you're seeing contains an outdoor nature image that's visible in the render. And finally, the Corona camera. I switch to the camera view and reveal the ceiling that was previously hidden. Alright, let's get to the main focus, the parquet flooring. As you can see, I've used the floor generator for this task. I've applied the necessary settings, which you can observe. However, these settings aren't suitable for every bitmap. You need to consider the size of the bitmap you're using. Now, I'll reveal everything and open the material editor. You'll see the wall materials. Gray for the lower part of the wall, and white for the upper part. To which I've applied the Corona map. Then there's the arch line material, showcasing the outdoor nature scene. And finally, the parquet material. Now, let's proceed to the MultiMap. I've assigned 4 bitmaps to it for the diffuse channel. I'll explain the Corona RaySwitch Map later. The same images are precisely assigned to the glossiness and bump channels. Make sure there's no displacement. Observe what has happened, and in a few moments, we'll create a similar material. I copy the bitmaps using Shift and drag. In the map section, under the Corona maps, I add the Corona MultiMap to the scene. Before connecting the bitmaps, let me use colors to explain this map better with 4 colors. I load a Corona legacy material, Connect the MultiMap to the diffuse, and then assign it to the Parquet. Now I'm not sure if I should stick with 4 colors or not. Whatever, I'll make it 6 colors. I disable the intensity option and check polygon. Now I render so you can see what happens. The colors are randomly distributed across the Parquet. You've seen the general render. I stop it. Now I assign only one color because I want to talk about gamma. I set the color to gray to make it more visible. For now, I set gamma to 1. You can see a slight variation on the material, with some colors darker and some lighter. I render it. If you pay attention, you'll notice the Parquet colors randomly appear stronger or weaker. I stop the render. I raise the gamma intensity to, say, 5 to make it more visible. It's now clearly noticeable on the material. I render again. Now that the difference is completely clear, gamma makes the work more realistic when we assign bitmaps to the MultiMap. That's sufficient. The overall effect is visible. I stop the render. Now that we're somewhat familiar with this map, let's proceed to assign the Parquet bitmaps. I revert back to 4 bitmaps. The brown maps are for the diffuse. I assign these 4 in order. Pay attention to the sequence to avoid issues in bump and reflection. I make a copy of the MultiMap for reflection and another copy for bump. Again, I assign the maps to the MultiMap in order. For bump, I do the same. It's better to connect the reflection MultiMap to glossiness. You can adjust the reflection intensity based on your preference. Sometimes, when my mouse cursor turns into a spinning wheel, the software is auto-saving. Finally, I connect the bump MultiMap to bump. For the preview in perspective, I select one of the brown maps. I will now render again interactively. Let it run for a bit to become clearer. You can see that the patterns are placed randomly. The effect of gamma on the darkness and brightness of some parquet pieces is also evident. That's enough. I will stop the render. Now, returning to the material editor. I want to discuss this color map in the Corona RaySwitch, and explain its impact and functionality. Let's proceed to apply it to the material we created. Let me find it. Here it is. As you can see, this map has 4 inputs. The first and most important slot is for light reflection. The second is for the reflection effect. The third is for the refraction effect. The fourth is for the base map of the material. First, I connect the Corona RaySwitch to the diffuse slot. Then, I assign the Corona MultiMap to the direct, reflect, and refract slots accordingly. Now, I import a Corona color map and connect it to the global illumination slot. For testing purposes, I assign it a red color. I initiate a render to observe the outcome. As you can see, the light reflections are influenced by the assigned color, returning red hues. However, the brown parquet reflections don't turn red unless illuminated by a red light source. I stop the render. For another test, I adjust the color to a near white shade and render again. The scene becomes significantly brighter, with the room appearing much lighter. Nevertheless, this doesn't necessarily enhance realism. I stop the render. To achieve a more realistic result, I use the eyedropper tool to select a color similar to the parquet and slightly lighten it. This adjustment yields a color that closely resembles the parquet. I proceed with an interactive render to evaluate the effect. As you can see, the scene, especially the walls, has taken on a slight brownish tint. I'll let the render proceed a bit longer to clarify the effect. Compared to before, it's evident that the impact has intensified, making the result more realistic. It's worth reiterating an important point I mentioned earlier. I stop the render and return to the scene. The influence of light color on the environment. I adjust my 2 interior lights to a warmer tone, setting them to 3000 Kelvin. Returning to the camera view, I initiate another render. The effect of the light is immediately noticeable. The scene has adopted a warmer ambiance. This demonstrates how significantly light color can affect the overall atmosphere. I stop the render and reset the warmth of the two lights back to 6000 Kelvin. To enhance realism, I slightly lighten the corona color. This adjustment seems appropriate. I proceed to configure the final render settings. Setting the quality to HD. The camera settings are satisfactory. Now, I proceed to render the final image. That concludes this section. This was part 1, focusing on the Corona Render engine. In part 2, we'll perform the same task using the VRay render engine. So, stay with us. Welcome to part 2. I've set the lighting parameters to match those of the Corona scene. Let me show you again for clarity. Opening the material editor, you'll notice that the materials are configured similarly to those in Corona. Instead of Corona AO, I've used VRay Dirt. You can observe the color and intensity settings. I might create a video tutorial for this map later on. As mentioned before, the primary effect of this map is visible on wall corners and around the baseboards. There's also an arch and design material present. Finally, we have the Parquet material. There are some differences in VRay, which I'll explain. I won't create a new material since you've already seen the overall process. The first difference is that the equivalent of Corona MultiMap in VRay is VRay MultiSubTex. Apologies for the earlier omission in explaining this map. First, set Get ID from to Random. Activate all the options below. While it's possible to leave some unchecked, I've enabled them all. Finally, set the gamma to 1. Now, let's proceed with the video. As before, assign the diffuse, glossiness, and bump maps, and connect them to the VRayOverrideMtl. I've increased the reflectivity of this material. The second difference is that in Vray, the VRayOverrideMtl serves as the equivalent of Corona RaySwitch. It's important to note that in Corona, both a RaySwitch map and material are available, whereas in Vray, only the material exists. We apply this to the Parquet. This VRayOverrideMtl functions as the equivalent of Corona color. I've assigned a color solely to the diffuse slot of this material. Additionally, this material includes a shadow material option, to which I've assigned the same VRayOverrideMtl as above, as well as to the GI slot. I've connected the other 3 slots from the lower material. Let me verify that I've covered everything. It appears that nothing has been overlooked. Returning to the main scene, I set the render quality to HD. The camera settings are properly configured, and I proceed with the final render. In this Vray render, I increased the Parquet's reflection compared to the Corona render, resulting in a glossier appearance. I wanted to test this look to see how it affects the overall realism and aesthetic of the scene. The Vray render is now complete. I returned to the main scene and made some adjustments to the camera settings. Adjusted the shutter speed to 1 second. Set the duration to 800. Switched the exposure mode from target to manual and set the exposure value to 6000. Set the aperture to 10. These are the changes I implemented. If you have any thoughts or feedback on this video, please leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and until the next video, goodbye.